What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, we're going to talk about what happened, one particular incident that happened when IShowSpeed came to Nigeria that all Nigerian content creators are currently talking about right now. Because I know there's got to be at least one or two of you out there that's like saying right now, because I know y'all seen the video, that's saying, oh, Afro Think Tank ain't going to talk about that. So y'all don't know me. I keeps the same energy, and I sure the hell will talk about it. And what we are talking about is the begging problem in Nigeria. All right. And let me qualify this first. All right. I've been all over the world. Right. Nigeria does not have the worst begging problem. Right. But because Nigeria is the home of the African American, the root, it hits and hurts a little bit more when we see our people doing that, right? But I want to put some context behind it. Like, the worst place is India. Them kids, them people will not beg. They'll be, while they're begging you, they'll be stealing out of your pocket. All right, their shit is predatory. In Nigeria, is not predatory. In Nigeria, they seriously are begging, right? And it's partly due to two things. Number one, in Nigeria, there's a culture of when your heroes, or when somebody of note comes into town, you're supposed to give them something, right? So there is and this is part of community. See, this is not you got to understand, we live in a capitalistic mindset where we're all individuals and we're like, I'm not giving you nothing and this and that, right? Where we have this individualistic mentality where we don't want to give nothing. But back in the day, you know, when the man would go off and go out hunting, or he will go on an adventure, or he'll go on a quest, or he'll go overseas, right? When he comes back, he's supposed to bring something, right? So we're talking about an ancient culture of when you come back to the village, you're supposed to be bringing back a deer, you bringing back a lion, you bringing back an elk, you bringing back food, substance, you bringing back something to say, hey, I was out there, this is what I'm bringing back for you because I'm a man or a woman of abundance and I can share with my community, right? That's the baseline culture in Nigeria, you know. So with that baseline, you got to understand the thought of humiliation is not the same for us in America. What we consider something that an individual man will be humiliated. Like, well, where's your pride, right? And I have to be God honest. I can tell you the good, bad about Nigeria. And one problem about Nigeria, and everybody who's been to Nigeria will say it. If you ask them, they'll say it. When you get at the airport, all right, as soon as you get off the airport, and this happens mainly in Lagos, all right, when you come out to the villages, it's not happening like that. You know, it's just the traditional way of, you know, you may give someone some, like a loaf of bread, or you may give them like a bag of oranges, right? But that person that you give, like when I come, right, I come with gifts, you know, and it doesn't have to be expensive gifts. I'll come with us. It's just a thing, a small trinket. It can be, you can buy a pack of freaking washcloths. They love washcloths, right? Cultural consistency. And they will appreciate that washcloth. And in return, right, when they come visit you, they will probably bring you something, right? So if you're here and you brought them something from when you came from overseas, they will give you something. Like when they come visit you, they'll bring you some oranges. They'll bring you some mangoes. They'll bring you, you know, anything. Just is mutual. It goes back and forth, right? And that's in the village. So you don't have to come here and worry about when you walk out as an African American, when you go out into Nigeria, that you're going to be bombarded by a bunch of people doing all that, right? You ain't got to worry about that. But in Lagos, and just like any city around the world, all cities that are metropolitan areas where you have different groups of people coming from different tribes, different cultures, different places around the world, it becomes somewhat of a cesspool. And that goes for like New York, DC, Atlanta, Lagos, Paris, London. It's the same thing, right? Cities usually are more like robotic and not as cultural usually as if you go out into the rural areas of whatever respectable, you know, land that you're at, right? With a respective land. Right. So in Nigeria, their issue, right, is because of that culture, some of them don't have this They don't in the city portion. They don't have a sense of I don't want to say they don't have pride, but they don't see it as a detriment to their pride to ask for things. So as soon as I get off the airport, the very first person I see that I'm showing my passport, they're asking me for some money, right? The very first. And God knows I hate that. I never I'm like, where's your? In my head, I'm thinking, where's your pride, huh? I'm talking about customs officers who has a job, the best job, one of the best jobs you can have in Nigeria. They're asking me for money, and I look at them and I ask them for money. That's how I do. The way I respond is I smile in their face and I just say no. And they're not aggressive. So it's not like if you say no, they're going to keep being in your face, right? Like an Indian will fall. Like I'm telling you, you go to Southeast Asia, they will follow you. You say no, they don't take no for an answer. They don't take no. You say no to them, they're like, okay, we're going to just pickpocket you then. But here, if you say no, they'll just smile. Okay, maybe next time. It's a part of the custom, right? But at the airport, I believe it should be more professional, right? And if you have a job and you know there's people out there who don't have a job and you're lucky enough to have a job, you should be professional and stop asking every person who gets off a plane for money. They do this to their own people. It's not just, and keep in mind, if you're black and you go to Nigeria, they're not going to know that you're not Nigerian. So you're treated like a Nigerian. And if they hear your accent, right, and you tell them you're American, or they assume you're American, they're just going to treat you like a rich Nigerian, okay? They're assuming that you're rich because keep in mind, they're consuming American content. They believe that we're rich. They believe any African American that flies to Nigeria is balling. You understand? And compared to them, we are. Compared to the what you would say monetary wise, compared to like a regular Joe Smo who just saved up for the year, he got just enough money to go on this vacation for 2-3 weeks or whatever, and he has his spending money, in his pocket change and his backup money. That guy going to Nigeria is a millionaire, legitimately. All right. And you can afford pretty much almost anything you want and do anything you want, things that you could never do in America for the same amount of money, right? So you got to understand there's people here who's never even seen the amount of money you brought on vacation. And they know that, right? And they look at you, and you got to understand, Nigerians love African Americans. They've been watching us. Their new developing modern culture is based off us, right? So because of that, when you come, you are a hero to them. You are a rich hero to them, right? And so they're looking at a rich hero and based off their perspective of their culture, they have no problem asking you for money. And in America, we can't stand that shit because in America, we can't say we don't have the same epidemic, but ours is structured differently. In America, the people who beg for money are usually on the street corners, right? We know that half of the people who beg in America are scammers, right? They park their Rolls Royce around the goddamn corner and shit, and they come with their pretend raggedy clothes, but sometimes they fuck up because they be having nice ass shoes talking about they need some money and shit with their little cardboard signs, right? We know the alcoholics and the ones that's mentally ill usually be at the 7-Elevens, the gas stations, right? Where the liquor store is right across the street. And every time you trying to go into the store, here they go trying to open the door for you, saying, God bless you. They doing the same thing. God bless you. God going, la, 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 la. You ain't got to get a few dollars, right? That's why I only give money to people who say they want food. Because, like I said, like I told you in my other video, when somebody tried to stop me from buying food for somebody, if somebody asks me for food, I'm going to give it to them. Period. I'm going to give it to them, right? But if you ask me for money, and I know that you smell a little bit, you little salt, I know you're going over to the liquor store. I'm not going to help you kill yourself, right? And we know that's a problem in America. All over the place. Okay, so let's qualify that. So we can't overjudge Nigerians for what you see, but just understand that every country has their issues. And there are people that are living at the bottoms of societies in every culture, and they're going to they're going to forego shame in order to get to the things that they want, right? And so IShowSpeed, you saw that clip. Well, I'm actually not going to play it on this video because I don't like promoting the negative, but I can talk about it, right? I'm going to be balanced about it, right? When I saw IShowSpeed, a 21-year-old young man, right, on his car, and I saw these grown-ass men, all right, with big-ass muscles, like clearly you even got plenty of protein, and you're begging this. To me, he's a child. He's 21, he's a grown man, but he's a damn child to me, all right? I wouldn't date no 21-year-old girl. That's a kid, right? And that's it. My children are older than him, right? So he's a kid to me, right? Now this young man is a millionaire. He earned it, right? But that doesn't mean he's going to come to Africa, right? And he's going to distribute all of his money to people, because he happens to be famous, right? And what happens to him happens to every American and every rich Nigerian or well-to-do Nigerian that comes from America, UK, or France. We all experience it because when you look at the Nigerian airport, anybody coming out the airport is rich as far as anybody is concerned, right? Because most people don't get to travel. 80% of Americans never left America. Same goes with probably about 95% never left Nigeria. You know what I'm saying? Unless they going like to Ghana or Cameroon or something like that, or Benin or something like that, somewhere close you can take a bus to or something like that. But they're not flying. The infrastructure for flight is relatively new compared to most places because the white European structure made sure that Nigerians did not have the ability to travel around the world. Because you see what happens now that Nigerians can travel around the world. They excel. It's dangerous to white supremacy because Nigeria represents the roots of us, right? It's the roots, that black power. They know what the hell it is, right? So you come here and you experience it, and it's a big turnoff to us because it's like we get secondhand embarrassment because it's like I'm looking at somebody look like me begging me, and they look so they're genuine about it. Like they're genuine about it. They're begging and look like they're crying, like somebody killing them or something. But it was so embarrassing, and it's embarrassing to Nigeria. It's embarrassing to the Nigerian content creators who had to sit there and watch the shamelessness of some of these people begging with their whole chest to a person they don't even know. All right, because the ones doing the begging, they don't know IShowSpeed. Those people begging IShowSpeed didn't know IShowSpeed, right? And then on top of that, you had one Nigerian YouTuber, right, who was so pressed because he felt like since he's a big YouTuber or social media or whatever live streamer, that he had some sort of right to have IShowSpeed. He thought that he would, of course, meet IShowSpeed. IShowSpeed would meet him. But because of the nature of that guy's content, he's controversial. IShowSpeed is a clean-cut African-American boy. And he has a multi-million-dollar PR team behind him. He cannot be associated with dubious individuals just because they want to have a come-up when the biggest streamer in the world comes. And this is a problem a lot of famous people have, right? It happens in everything. Like you got the rapper who's the big time rapper. He come in town. Everybody want to spit their CD. Everybody want him to stop and listen to it. Everybody want that one individual to stop and listen to them spit a freestyle, give them a deal, sign them, partner them, put them on, get them instant fame. Everybody thinks that they're special, right? And that they deserve individual time and consideration, when it comes to famous people that happen to be in their location. So famous people deal with this shit all the time. And IShowSpeed, because he's famous, is no different. Every streamer is going to want to clout chase onto him, just like that white boy. Followed him all the way over here. You understand? All the way over here. So it happens. And so Nigerian content creators are no different from any other content creator. So you're going to have some that try to create drama or try to insert themselves in places that they're just not wanted due to the nature of their content, right? And IShowSpeed collaborated with many content creators. And the guy that thought that he had the right to be next to IShowSpeed and Clout chase him, I've never heard of him. But all the ones that he did collaborate, I've heard of them because they're bigger than him, right? They're more popular than him. They're cleaner cut. They're safe when it comes to marketing. You saw IShowSpeed, he didn't take a drink. He was 21. They tried to get him to drink alcohol, right? He said he respectively declined, right? I would say the people who organized this trip did not do a very good job, even though it looked like IShowSpeed had a good time in Nigeria for the time that he was here. But I did not see IShowSpeed go to any of the most beautiful places in Nigeria. And that is a problem Nigeria has, is Nigeria does itself a disservice because they are so lacking in tourist infrastructure. They're so lacking in organization of tourism that they don't know how to display the best parts of them. IShowSpeed there are so many places IShowSpeed should have went to that he didn't go, and nobody saw any of it because I guess the current government, they have other priorities. I do understand you have in the north, you have more pressing priorities as far as instability up there in the north, due to the Arab invaders that are sponsored and paid for and financed by white supremacy currently, right now, right? I'm putting all in context. I'm not slipping through the cracks of anything I got to say, All right, understand everything happening in Nigeria is due to the fact that Nigeria is still dealing with colonization, neo-colonization, and the need for white people to control Nigeria, because Nigeria is in fact a giant of Africa, but that giant is currently asleep. Okay, the giant is asleep. When that motherfucker get up, that's it. I'm telling you, and everybody knows it. That's why the European, pan-European powers that be do everything economically, socially, politically to keep Nigeria down, including backing their dictators, pretending to be legitimate leaders, right? And maintaining the corrupt politicians. Because if you think Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and every other white billionaire that you don't know is not, don't got these Nigerian politicians' numbers on speed dial, calling them, making sure that they got their apartments in John Hopkins in Baltimore, so they can go to John Hopkins University, the best hospital in the world. They did not in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., with their big ass houses and taking care of their kids, going to the best schools in America, in France and Canada. If you think that's not happening, you're not paying attention. All right, because the same corporations that bribe our politicians currently right now to allow authoritarianism to go on are the same politicians that come over here, are the same businessmen that do the same thing with our politicians. It's the same same people manipulating the entire world. And that goes for all politicians on all first, second, and third world countries. That's how that shit works, okay? And therein lies the problem. So, yes, in Nigeria, there is a problem with begging. There is a problem, and it's sad. And a major factor in it is that Lagos, okay? You got to understand, Lagos is massive. It's a city, right? And but it's the size of a state, right? And even though it's a city, that's the size of a state. Listen, a city, the size of the state, and it's not even the biggest state. Abadan is the biggest city in Africa, right? Lagos I think is number 2. Right? So just think about how massive. You're talking about the size of a state, right? But it's just a city, right? And the problem with it is so dense. There's so many people. The current infrastructure cannot support the amount of people in the city, okay? So even though there's constant development happening, like every time I come here, I see improvement. So it's not like it's not happening. The private sector is doing what they got to do. But there literally is that's why I'm saying they're talking about 200 is only 200. That's a fucking lot. There's 1 billion people in Nigeria. I'm telling you, Nigeria, there's 1 billion people in Nigeria. For instance, my village, y'all hear me? Y'all think I say I'm in the village, right? I'm in the village. I'm in the rural area. Do you realize? I just want y'all to understand. My village, the thing I'm calling a village, is bigger than Washington, D.C. Bigger. You take all of Washington, D.C., take all of Prince George's County, take all of Montgomery County, take Arlington and Fredericksburg, wrap all that up. That's the size of this one village. That's how, y'all don't understand scale. Massive. That's a village. So, even though you guys don't understand, these places are massive. Unbelievably massive. But in your mind, you think a village, you think in huts and shit. No. Villages are the size of cities in Nigeria, and cities are the size of states, okay? States are the size of countries in Nigeria. Nigeria is legitimately a continent on the continent. Nigeria by itself is a continent, honestly, and almost figuratively, and literally, and specifically, and approximately, all that shit, all of it. That's how big it is. And that's how every state really is a country, right? The Federation of Nigeria is forcing the countries to be one. That's why you have all the different states that don't cooperate or not organized with each other, because they're legitimately different countries with different people. Every state has a different group of people that we call tribes, but these tribes are nations, massive kingdoms, okay? Nations of people. You got to think scale. So the problem is the British infrastructure that was built here is small. The roads are smaller. The way it's designed, like Europe, right? Because Europeans designed it that way, right? But the problem is they're driving American cars. So they're driving big ass cars meant for big ass American roads, right? When they got infrastructure built like the goddamn UK. All right. So right now, currently just trying to build out. But the problem with Lagos is you can't build it out. All the land is taken up. There's no space. In a big ass place like Lagos, there is no space for development. There's no more land available to build housing for people. That means the next city over is Ibadan, which is probably going to be the center of Nigeria very soon. It's going to be the metropolitan area. They're going to have to put an international airport there. Is beautiful. And the great thing about Ibadan, which is already bigger than Lagos, keep in mind, all right, is that there's more expandable space all around it. So more than likely, the people of Lagos are going to have to move their way up to Ibadan, right, which is about 2 hours away up, right, because it's about Lagos, 2 hours up from Ibadan, and I'm about 2 hours north of that. So I'm about four hours away from Lagos, 5 hours away because, you know, vehicles always breaking down and stopping and shit, right? So that's how it kind of works. So there's so much, development is going to be endless, all right? But right now, as it stands, it's just Lagos is just not it. And another thing about Lagos is because of climate change, because we know who did that. We know who the fuck. You got to always go back to the root of problems. Because of climate change and not dealing with climate change, just like all other coastal cities on the planet, there's floods, you know, which also takes up more real estate, internal real estate. Though is the water where they are as far as the water level, you can only dig but so deep, and you're gonna flood your place. So yeah, so Lagos, the future of Lagos is probably not gonna be that great because as the water levels rise, people are gonna have to move away from Lagos. That's why Nigeria moved their capital to Abuja, which is another beautiful place that IShowSpeed didn't go. You understand? Like, so whoever organized this, right? These politicians in over here are so corrupt, right? And so divided. They don't seem to be smart enough to like, damn, you know how much money we can make if we exploit all these natural resources that don't cost anything. All we got to do is put a couple goddamn nice hotels right here. All you got to do is place a hotel right there. Bam. Provide 24-hour Wi-Fi and light, right? And let the money flow in, right? But you know, you got these analog politicians, right? We got these analog politicians. And before you say, you know, before you come down on them too hard, we live in the United States of America. We're the richest country in the world, and we don't have high-speed rail. We Americans live in the richest country in the world, and we have terrible roads. We live in the richest country in the world, and our infrastructure is crumbling, and our bridges are breaking. Because our analog-ass politicians are too busy doing what? Putting as much money in their pocket and then going where the development is instead of developing the areas that they're supposed to be in charge of. Same goes for the goose, goes for the gander. So if you want to know why Nigeria is the way it is, just look at your own politicians. The only thing is, we were just lucky enough to develop a little bit further than everybody else because America is the one that was exploiting everybody else. So Nigeria has to come up on their own. You see, Nigeria is not exploiting other countries, enslaving people, corporately enslaving people to build. They gotta, as a nation of black men and black women, they gotta build this shit up from the dirt without exploiting people. You see, America, as you can see, white Wakanda and European Union, all those white Wakandas, they do their development by exploiting others and importing those who do build. Do you understand? That's why they were able to get at least to that level. But right now, if you notice, they have paused while other nations continue to develop because Africa is the fastest developing area. I'm telling you right now, the dirt, all right, that you see on the ground will one day be a skyscraper. Okay, but all in all, man, yes, begging is a problem. And the thing is, the Yoruba, they're very proudful people. So when they see it, right, it's like when they see it, when they see those people in Lagos doing that, right, it hurts their soul, you know, because Yoruba are very proudful people. The Igbos, shit. The Igbos are very proudful people. It hurts their soul to see that shit because that doesn't represent Nigerians. People begging on the street the way you saw, right? Little kids, YouTubers trying to clout chase. That's normal shit, right? But all in all, it doesn't represent what's really happening in Nigeria, right? I mean, well, shit, it is happening clearly because you saw it. But it doesn't represent and generally what's happening, how people are, right? So yes, I see all these Nigerian content creators. They're so embarrassed, and hey, maybe it needs to happen, right? It has to happen, because if you can't be shamed into having some pride for yourself, if you can't be, if it's not exposed for people to expose it, then it's never going to change. Like, I'm tired. Like, when I leave Nigeria, here's the difference. When I leave Nigeria, right? When you exit Nigeria, you exit out of the brand new airport. Terminal. When I leave Nigeria, all those officers, customs officers and employees, when I leave Nigeria, professional, upstanding. There's air conditioning. It looks like any modern airport, right? Professional, high technology, right? Now, when I come to Nigeria, it depends on if the plane goes to the old terminal or the new terminal. If I land in the new terminal, professional, not one person's begging. Everything works. Air conditioning's pumping. Modern entry, the way you're supposed to enter a country. If I go to the old terminal, right, the one that needs to be shut down, you got people begging. You got people following you, trying to get money off you. You got disorganized people with no uniforms talking about they need to check your bag and they need to do this. You got weird people who you don't know following you, hoping that maybe if they can get you through all the rest of the people begging you for money while you standing there waiting for your cab and you getting begged by the security officer that's supposed to be doing their goddamn job, and then you getting begged by the goddamn baggage handler, right? And then you getting begged by another rando person. You got the other person who's supposedly carrying you around waiting for you to give them something, right? And I'm so used to it, I know what to do. I just ignore them. Or I'll let them do what they're going to do, and I'll say, I'm not giving you anything. I'm like, I don't have Naira in America, and I'm not giving you USD. Right? Because this money is for me, not for you. You have a job. These people out here who are begging, at least they ain't got no job because they suffering because there's just not enough jobs for them, just like in America. Is there enough jobs for Americans? There's not even enough Americans, and there's still not enough job for the little bit of Americans that's in America. Imagine here. There's like 1 billion motherfuckers here. There's definitely never going to be enough jobs, right? So at least with them, I understand. I give them grace. But if you got a job, don't beg me for nothing, right? So I really do hope that whoever runs the airport maybe shows a little discipline and gets their employees in order. Get all them goddamn scammers from the airport, because people don't, that's the first thing people see when they come into a country, when they come in an airport. That's their first introduction, and the last thing they need is being bombarded with a bunch of beggars and scammers and people trying to take the money out their pocket before they even step foot inside the goddamn country. That's a bad impression. And Nigeria has a terrible, terrible, terrible problem with their first impression. Okay? So yes, it's true. So like I said, I always keep the same energy. I always keep it real. I know y'all didn't think I was going to address it. I was going to gloss over that shit, right? But nah, I got to keep it real, because I want y'all to come to Nigeria and expect and not be bombarded or not be shocked by it, right? But all I can say, I can tell you right now, you don't have to worry about predatory begging like you would in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh or anything like that. You don't have to worry about a bunch of street boys doing that. Oh, yeah, here's another thing before I wrap this up. What's another embarrassing thing? You see, Nigeria, right? Down there in Lagos, they got these fake gang. They're not gangster. They're not gangster. I experienced that shit when I was at the beach. I went to a beach, and just because they knew I was African-American, they tried to do like this and tried to act super gangster for my approval. As if that's something that I like, right? As if my culture is throwing up the set, right? And I saw them try to do that with IShowSpeed. And IShowSpeed's like, he's not a gangster. He's a clean-cut boy. Young man. He ain't about that. But that's not the Nigerians' fault. This is what's been put on TV. They believe this. They worship this. Everything we do, they do. You understand? The Nigerian culture is a mirror of African-American culture. That's what it is. So when you see somebody acting like they're gangster, I even see some of them try to do my hood, my YouTube hood. Like, motherfucker, no, nigga. No. You lying. Ain't nope. Y'all, no. All right, it's all fake. They not gangster over here, all right? They about the nicest, they be about the nicest fucking gangsters you see. You be like, you gangster. Y'all about the nicest, non-threatening gangsters I've ever seen in my life. Like, no. Right? So that was a turnoff. But that right there is due to factors outside of everybody's control. That means that we as African Americans need to make sure that they see other versions of us. Because you keep in mind that gangster culture that was embarrassing to Nigerians when they saw them little weird gangsters trying to act gangster for IShowSpeed's approval. They got that because in America, we African Americans, we prop up that culture because it's easy for us to do. That fake culture. Do you know that gangster culture is white, British, Southern British, European culture? That shit is European culture. Gangster and thuggism, that whole thing that we think that identifies us as gangster and thug, that's all, like, I swear for Jesus. I swear to for Jesus. That is legitimately Southern British culture that we have adopted. It's just that we make everything look cool. Therefore, it's now associated with us. But all you have to do is look at any UK documentary. I posted something on my timeline showing the issues happening in the UK right now with the drug epidemic. You will see the original thug gangster, all right, acting exactly the way we act. It's just that we look much cooler doing it, all right? So we have to, as African Americans, be better ambassadors and show there's different elements of African American society that is still as cool, still vibrant, that they can see and adopt. All right. If we are going to be leaders among the leaders, a group of leaders in the black diaspora, we need to display ourselves better and give better examples for our brothers and sisters around the world so they can emulate something better. You understand? So that's all I wanted to say. Yes, it's an issue. You know, hey, it is what it is. But like anything else, time, hard work, understanding and putting context towards things, and taking a second to think before we speak, taking a second to think before we do things. All we have to do is do our little due diligence, and we can change all of this. All right. Right. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.